Welcome to Inspired Living with Keri Murphy, the podcast, where as your host each and every week, I am going to inspire you and empower you to share your message and step into that big vision you see for yourself. I'll be bringing you celebrity interviews, influencer insights, and my personal tips from decades as an on-camera talent, TV host, media expert, and entrepreneur, so you can build a brilliant seven-figure brand. Because when you're inspired, you inspire others. So let's go. When's the last time you did something that scared you? You took on a new role or you launched something that had you shaking in your boots? When it comes to inspiring women leaders, Christine Simmons is at the top of my list. Last time we sat down, we were celebrating her championship win as president of the LA Sparks. And today we talked about her newer role as COO, running all the daily operations for the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts, and Sciences. Yes, you know it as the Oscars, but it is so much more than that. She talks about making that big leap. She talks about her role in really creating more diversity and inclusion within the Academy with what you see on film and in your home studio. But it gets so much deeper than that. We talk about when to let go of things, how to trust the timing. And if you're in a place right now where you have felt stuck or unchallenged, disenchanted, this interview is going to shake you up. So get ready to be inspired with my friend, Christine Simmons. All right, welcome, my beautiful friend, Miss Christine Simmons. How are you?
I am wonderful now that I get to see your beautiful face.
Oh, I have missed you so much. You're one of those women that you just want to be around all the time, I have to say. You inspire me. You've been a speaker at my Brilliant event. You lit the room on fire, actually. I think every woman after hearing you speak was like, I can do anything.
I love it. I love it. Well, you provided the platform and gathered amazing women together. So thank you for having me. And it's so good to be back in touch.
Oh my God, it's so great. So last time we sat down together, we were celebrating your championship win with the LA Sparks, with the WNBA. And now you have claimed this amazing new position as the COO of the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts, and Sciences. That's amazing.
Thank you.
So 1 minute, we're seeing you on the court. And literally, I felt like I turned around and I'm like, she's on the red carpet. What is going on?
I know, right? And crazy part about that is I'll be celebrating my second year in January here at the Academy. So time flies.
It really does fly. We were just talking about our kids and how much they've grown.
Yes.
But let's go back to making that decision, Christine, because I can only imagine, like, you had a really significant role in the growth of the LA Sparks. And I know you were heavily invested, heart into that organization. What was it like to make the pivot and take on this new role?
Oh my gosh. And it's so funny. Even just talking about it, I'm getting emotional. Like, that's my baby, my other baby. The other one's about 5 feet tall these days, but the Sparks were truly my baby. I mean, it was the first time I ran an organization, an entire organization myself. We totally rebuilt and rebranded and just really set it up for so much amazing success, both on and off the court. And so when it came time, this opportunity came in front of me. And, I'm a true believer that you shouldn't stay in positions too long, and that everything has a season. And especially with something that is such a young league, such as the WNBA, it's in its 25th, 26th year now. It's important that you keep fresh ideas and fresh blood. And, when I was there, it was rebranding. It was gaining market share. It was increasing our fan base. It was kind of modernizing some of it as well, giving a little of that LA sparkle. So those, and then also—
Which you did an amazing job with.
Thank you. And just really also preparing the ownership group for taking on a women's team, right? And what all that meant. And then this opportunity came, and I wasn't looking to leave the Sparks, but this opportunity came. And I thought, okay, what another phenomenal opportunity. And then also I can give another phenomenal person, ended up being a Black woman of color, or Black woman, a young Black woman, I might add as well, the opportunity and for her to lead the organization. So Danita Johnson has taken over. She was my number 2, and she went off for a little while and worked with the Clippers. She's been in sports. She is a badass to the nth degree. I love her to death. She loves the Sparks as I did. So it was hard for that love, but I also knew that it was in good hands and that she would build on it and it would grow. And finally, I really believe the true definition of a leader is that something thrives and grows once you've left. Because if it failed after I left, then that means I didn't really do my job as a leader.
Okay, wait. Because I feel like this is really powerful, not just for women leaders, but as we're looking at growing our businesses, so many of us we depend on ourselves.
Yes.
But a true leader allows you to move on and allow it to still grow and go.
Yes. And then you take that brilliance that is you, and how do you franchise brilliance, right?
Yes.
Well, that's what we have to do. And especially as women, and for those of us that are coming from communities of color, or even people who maybe weren't born into generational wealth, right? We sometimes get so locked into these one entities. They're our babies. We put all our eggs in that one basket. How can we, actually give, let go a little bit of the control, but actually multiply the work and hopefully the revenue that you're coming in. But for some entrepreneurs, that's not the case. For some entrepreneurs, they want this to be their baby, this thing to be their legacy, and that's okay too. So you just have to figure out what fits for you. But and for a lot of us that are control freaks, not to say that there's two of them on the phone.
Never,
right now. No, right. But, for those of us that have a little trouble letting go, think of it as an opportunity for somebody else. You are keeping someone else from an opportunity to grow. You are disempowering someone else from that opportunity. And then that allows you to kind of frame it a little differently, especially as women, we tend to be those nurturers and we care for people before we care for ourselves. Then I'm like, okay, let me give this person this opportunity and I'll go on and break barriers somewhere else. And
what a powerful and fresh perspective, because I think as women, we just hold on so tight sometimes to things, but that's actually disempowering, and you don't allow other people to step into their brilliance. The other day when I was out for a walk, Christine, I was reflecting on 2020 and what it has meant to me as a business owner is, gosh, if I did get sick or something happened, would Inspired Living, would my company still thrive without me? And it really got me thinking to exactly that point. How am I empowering and setting up my team members to be leaders and to run the company if I'm not able to? And I do agree, that is true leadership. That is CEO muscle. And that's not always easy to do.
Yeah, no, it really isn't. And so we have to give us these little tricks to trick our minds into, getting us there at least the first time. And then it becomes more natural as you kind of think of it as giving others opportunities, succession planning, all of those things, and setting up greatness for generations to come. So that was kind of the ability for me to let go of the sparks. And then now look at a new opportunity and how I could break barriers somewhere else and, pave the way for the next person, even as I took this role, thinking about paving, the way for people to come. So it was a beautiful business challenge that I took on. If you think about this organization, it's going into its 93rd year of existence.
Incredible. Yeah.
And, and they're solving some of the industry's biggest challenges right now. We are. And so how do we stand in our leadership role in that? How do I operationalize the operations within the organization itself? It is a nonprofit organization, but it is global and it's huge. And
let's talk about that, because I think when people think of the Academy, they just think of the Oscars, right?
That little show.
That little show. But there's actually so much more involved, and you're spearheading, inclusion and diversity and really opening that up and making sure that it is more equitable. Can you share with me a little bit more about that initiative and your role and what you're trying to achieve?
Sure. So as COO, I'm kind of responsible. I'm responsible for the, day-to-day operations, and working under our CEO and her vision, and then a board, of course, and their vision for the organization. But how do I operationalize it? How do I put in processes and protocols and all of that kind of stuff across the entire entity? In addition to that, what we did, and as you know, my background before the Sparks had been diversity, equity, and inclusion work for many, many decades. So how do I take all the beautiful heart and intention and passion that has already been with the Academy for some time, but help them with best practices in this space, help to operationalize it again. So that way it's part of the day-to-day business as well, just like anything else that we do is. So the other 364 days a year, we have a film library, we have a film archive, we have tons of talent development and diversity programs where we're creating and supporting the next generation of filmmakers. We have a ridiculous marketing team. There's initiative after initiative, and how do we look at every aspect of the business so that we can think about it with an eye of inclusion. So Aperture 2025, we launched it this summer. And while the breadth and the acceleration of timeline was absolutely in response to the murder of George Floyd and all that happened this summer, we were already working on kind of what the next phase of our initiatives would be. Back in about 15, 16, they created A 2020, which is Academy 2020. And that was a couple goals. One, to double the number of women and double the number of people of color in our membership base. And those are the ones that vote. Spoiler alert, Christine doesn't get a vote on the noms and the show.
Yeah.
But, I know, right? But amazing filmmakers throughout our membership base too. And so we wanted to make sure we had as many representative voices in that voting base. What A 2020 also did was added some seats to our board of governors. So that way there was also seats at the table from a leadership perspective. That was great. We met those goals. Awesome. Come summer, we were already working on what the next phase looked like. And all that happened this summer happened. So what we really did is we took this holistic approach because yes, we absolutely still need to diversify our membership and continue on that path. But, even if we have the most diverse membership base in the world, if they don't have a slate of films to vote on that is diverse, we may still have the same outcome. Mm-hmm. So how do we now influence the film industry so that way they too are creating opportunities both in front of and behind the camera? So the content that we see and that's on those beautiful theatrical screens, if and when we can get back in, right. But if not on your home theater, that those are representative of the world. So one of the aspects of our Aperture 2025 plan was to create inclusion standards around our best pictures. And so when you submit as a studio or a company that wants to submit for best picture, you have to meet some criteria, some basic criteria.
That wasn't there before.
That wasn't there before.
Yes.
Now, granted, and it's a slow walk for a couple of reasons. Film production typically takes a good year or two in a regular year, right. Like COVID. So we wanted to make sure that we took that into consideration. So that way people could build up, people could hire because they know that the pipeline is there. And so how can we get people to hire some more folks? So in a couple of years, they will actually have to meet a certain threshold. There's 4 different standards. And again, they're both in front of the camera, behind the camera, apprenticeships and pipeline programs and internship programs, as well as marketing. And they'd have to meet 2 out of the 4 criteria. And there's a lot more detail. There's a lot more detail in the middle of all of that. But to make sure that we really are broadening the aperture through which excellence is recognized. And because we know that if you only look through this, right, then you're missing out on a whole lot of amazing stories. Yeah.
And I think so many people are looking through that small lens. And I know there's been a big disparity between, what you see, on film and how people are represented and making sure that everyone has a voice, both in front of the camera and behind the camera. Christine, I think these initiatives are so wonderful, and it's going to just really broaden the landscape for what we get to see and experience.
Absolutely.
I think for this year, 2020, it's brought up a lot for many of us. I know the civil and unjust, and it's really weighed heavily on a lot of people. And you're taking, great strides to change that within the Academy. What can we do? I mean, as a white woman, as a white male, as business leaders, what can we do within our organizations to, include more diversity and inclusion and really just bridge that gap?
It's a great question. And, another part of what we did was unconscious bias training. And that literally, when I tell you that in my decades of work in this space, our consultant is fantastic. Her name is Dr. Darnisa Amante Jackson, but she really helps everyone see blind spots that they may not, even I.
We all have them.
We all have them, right? So I think that is the first step, because then it gives everybody a common language and a common starting point. And then from there, it's really to educate yourself on all of the different things. Just because I don't experience it myself doesn't make me less responsible for finding out and investigating and educating myself on what it is that are challenges. So just the same as I would want to know and understand the challenges of your community, right? And what's going on with the Armenian community right now, what's going on in all of these different places of the world, the LGBTQIA community, right? And our transgender brothers and sisters, like what's going on with them? Just because it may not necessarily be the experience that I've lived, I need to be just as empathetic, just as diligent and passionate. And I need to hurt for them as much as I would hurt if it was my own son, right? Or if it was me. And so I think once we have that common global human empathy, right, and realize that we're all humans, and just because I didn't experience it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Yes.
And even saying that, I think that's one of the first steps as well, is for many, it's easier to say, oh, that doesn't really exist anymore. I haven't seen it, so it doesn't exist. That is the number one hurtful thing that someone can do. And a lot of times that comes from a very beautiful and intentional place of kindness, of, no, I want to see the world in this beautiful.
Right. That doesn't exist. No.
But it doesn't, right? Racism doesn't exist and sexism doesn't exist, right? And we all, believe me, you want to be there. I want to be there. I don't want to talk about this anymore. We're all tired of talking about it. God damn it. We are. I want to be the best damn executive there ever is, not the best woman.
Regardless of female, color,
black, curly hair, not curly hair. I don't care. Just best damn exec, right? So I want to get there as soon as possible. However, that's equality. And we're not there yet because there are a ton of inequities that we have to overcome. And so start looking. And what are some of those things? I'll give you an example. One of my friends, we both were pre-med. She continued. I didn't make it into medical school. But anyway, so
you haven't accomplished anything, Christine. So let's.
I know. I did not get into medical school, but it worked out okay.
Yes,
so she had an opportunity to be the lead OBGYN at a major hospital here in LA. The challenge is she's a mom. She's a single mom. And the meetings that they would have every morning were at the exact time she had to drop her kids. So she had to choose, right, between being a mom and dropping her kids or having this amazing career opportunity. So when we look at like those little things, why does that meeting have to be at 7:30? Why did it actually have to be at that time? Could it be any other time? And if it was at that other time, could you imagine the candidates that you would have in that pool, right? And so everything, every rule that there is, it's an institutionalization of the ideology that someone thinks is best. Yes. And most of the ideologies, and this is what our consultant, Dr. Darnisa, teaches us, is that, we all have this ideology floating around us like water. And if we were a fish in this water, we wouldn't even know it was there. But it's just, we believe it. We don't even know it's there. And then once it gets codified into policy or procedures or rules, that's when it becomes institutionalized oppression. And so look at all of your rules. Why are they that way? Are they that way just because they've always been that way? Right. Well, then let's rethink that. And how could that affect that population or that population? And those are some of the first steps that everybody could take.
So great, Christine. Thank you. And what a powerful example. Like, imagine, just change the meeting time.
Change the meeting time. You would have had a badass Latina head of OBGYN. And I never will forget, she and I did an internship together when we were still in school. And because she spoke Spanish, she happened to walk by, mind you, we were still undergrads in UCLA. She walked by this woman and her daughter, they couldn't speak English. And because she was able to translate, she literally saved that patient's life. So it is a matter of meeting time could change life or death situations.
Wow. Just profound.
Yeah.
Talking about being a single mom, you have an amazing little boy, not so little anymore though. This, again, 2020, crazy year. You're working from home as well.
Yes.
What has that been like for you? And for that mom out there, Christine, that has this big vision for her life. I mean, when you look at your resume, which we'll post in the notes, I mean, it's like a who's who of influential women. In fact, you've been named one of LA's 500 most influential people many years in a row.
Yeah.
What advice do you give that mom?
Yeah. Be kind to yourself. It is exhausting. There is no perfect mom. There is no perfect way. There is no perfect reaction. And especially during COVID, just be kind to yourself. We are carrying a lot. Yes. And I am blessed. I am blessed to have a secure job. There are so many moms. This pandemic is taking its toll on us because usually we're the primary caretakers, or we're the primary caretakers who actually have to go and because we're essential workers. And so those situations are just so profound and so heavy. Be kind to yourself. Ask for help. I am messing up daily. We are all messing up daily. And again,
my hand is up, Christine.
Hands up. Like I literally, he popped his head in here 3 times earlier and I was like, what? And then my running joke with him is, are you bleeding? And he actually was bleeding because he lost a tooth today.
Oh,
true story. And then I felt like a horrible mom, but we laughed about it. And the woman on the call with me, we all had a laugh because we all were single moms.
It's real life. Yes.
It's real life. He literally was bleeding. Luckily, this time it was for a good reason. So be kind to yourself. We're all carrying a lot. I'm blessed to have a caretaker. I'm blessed to have a secure job. I acknowledge the privilege that I have. But even in that, even for moms who have that, be kind to yourself. It's okay. It's exhausting and it's scary. And you literally think like every moment, he's an only child. So do I risk and he started a new school virtually this year. And so I'm trying to balance the need for social interaction with other kids and balancing his mental health in that regard with not as much screen time and all of those things.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. So just be kind to yourself and know that nobody's got it figured out, even regardless of what social looks like. No one's figured it out and no one's posting the crazy on social. So
let's talk about that a little bit. Social. Before we press record, you were throwing down some truth bombs and I was like, no, we have to. Because it looked like overnight, right? You left one position, you're in another, and you said something that I thought, again, was really profound. Maybe share a little bit of your intake and insight on social.
I was just sharing that, you asked me about like, you looked up all of a sudden and I just got this new role. And I am a firm believer that there's so much happening. Ideally, if you're doing it right, there is the bigger power moves that are happening off of social and not on social. So I really want people because social can be tormenting, and people can be like, oh, real talk, I use a filter. I'm using a filter right now. That's okay. I want to look as good as I feel I want to look. And that's okay too. But keep it real. It's a filter. So, and social is such a filter. So for the big moves, and especially for those who are continuing to strive and achieve your goals, 1, you don't have to post anything on social. 2, it's always fun when you're like doing it behind the scenes and all of a sudden, boom, you drop it and walk away kind of thing. I just want everyone to put social in perspective because it can be really heavy mentally when you're constantly seeing what's happening, whether it's your personal life, whether it's your kids, whether it's your career ambitions, whether it's who's on what panels and who's not on a panel. Like that right now is insane. And we really just have to be, kind. And then if you do feel like you like that one picture of yourself and you want to post it, then go for it, but do it for you.
Go with it. Yes.
Go with it. Do it for you. Don't do it for the comments. Don't worry about anything else and do it for you. Mm-hmm. And I really want us to take back social, especially women in our age range. Like, we're, not,
mature,
but we're fabulous still.
Yes, we are.
And so, how we are in our lives and where we are in our lives, like we're making some big decisions in life, but we're really coming into ourselves. So for the younger ones coming up, know that I'll be turning 46. Keri's not even close to my age. I'm like 8 million times older than her.
Oh, yes, you are. That whole year is a big one.
But I'll turn 46 this month. And, it didn't happen overnight. And each chapter is a learning moment. And so define what that chapter is going to be, and then determine what you want to share and what you don't. It's up to you, and be good with it, but find peace. That's really, this is what my 45, 46 years have been is find peace within yourself.
And I think moving into 2021, I think that is a great thing to remember. It's like find peace in your life, in your work. That comparison critic, that voice is so loud, and we're all on our own path and we're forging our own way. And I remember when we sat down and spoke and you had taken on the role as president of the Sparks, you had confessed that you didn't know if you were ready for the role, and when I speak with women that who am I to share my message or to post this picture of me or, to build this business, that imposter syndrome is so real.
Yes.
Do you still feel that way? Did you feel any apprehension moving into COO of the Academy?
Absolutely.
Or was it like, I've got this, I'm ready?
Because I purposefully put myself in uncomfortable situations.
That's so good.
On purpose.
Yeah.
And it scares the poop out of me every single time, right? I self-censored. It scares me every time. And every time I think I'm not ready for it. And every time, then that gets me like ready and to extra prepare and over prepare and learn. And then I achieve it. So I push people, my mentees, anyone around me, like find someone who will help push you out of your comfort zone, and continue to push yourself. Because if you feel comfortable, if you feel like, oh, I got that, no problem, your goals aren't big enough. And you always you're not going to do anything extraordinary if it comes easy to you. Do something extraordinary, at least attempt it. So no, I definitely doubt myself on a regular basis, but at this point,
you're up to big things when you do that.
I know I'm up to big things. And spoiler alert, everyone, when you get there, you're just as smart as the other people. So, and we are so programmed and told that we're not, that you believe it. And then I get here and I'm like, oh, okay, I think I got that. It's like you're surprised because you're like, oh, you've had this thing, this entity, this league, this platform, all of these things on this pedestal. And when you get there and you realize, oh, I do belong. And even though realize that especially now more than anything, you add value in so many different ways, right? Yes. So for instance, I just interviewed for a public board in an industry that I haven't technically worked in, but I knew that I would add value in a very non-traditional way. I didn't get it, but one of the notes that I'll say is I've had to reframe my thought process of worrying that was going to be the last opportunity. And it's tough. It's hard when you want something and you believe in something, and then for some reason it doesn't work out. Not necessarily thinking, oh, this is the last possible opportunity, because that's when you get desperate and you do desperate things. Always believe there's going to be another that's okay. There's another thing. Like, because you knew if you saw $1 sitting on the ground, but you knew that you could be okay without that dollar because you have 10 more dollars coming, you'll be fine. And you're actually okay for leaving that dollar on the ground for that person behind you who needs it more, right?
I love this so much because I can't tell you how many times I have wanted something so badly, whether it was a position or a product launch or whatever it is. And for some reason, it just doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. And I have learned that when things don't happen, Christine, that they're not supposed to happen at that time, that there's something better. And it really has become my entrepreneurial mindset of not staying focused on what's not happening. Yeah. Even when I want it really bad, it's like the timing's not right and there's going to be something else that comes.
Exactly. And it keeps you like from, oh, skirt, let me pull over and so I can get that dollar.
Right.
And making a desperate decision or something to make something fit that wasn't meant to be. And then also keeping that opportunity, that blessing, whatever you want to call it, from someone whom it's a better fit for or who may need it more. And it just really helps. Again, it still stings.
Yeah, sure, of course.
It still stings. Yeah. And so feel that, but let it motivate you and let it, and it's a shift, but you have to kind of reaffirm, no, there's going to be something else if it's meant to be. And you can look to the future. Someone
really needs to hear that right now. What a beautiful reframe. Like, let it be someone else's blessing because the next thing is waiting for you.
Yep. Yeah.
So good. I feel 2020 for a lot of us was closure, was reset. There was a lot of loss. And you talk about leaving a legacy of character. And I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about that because so much of this world is, getting more and having more, and we don't leave with any of it.
Yeah. It's so interesting. More and more, and again, we have to acknowledge the privilege that we have.
For sure.
And all of that. And so, but in that privilege is that responsibility to emulate that which you want to see, right? And to truly leave something or someone or someplace better than you found it. And this has always been part of who I am, but, I believe in karma. I believe in the universe. I'm like this hopeless, idealistic, like romantic.
I love you so much.
I know. I'm such a optimist. It's nauseating to some at time. But what can I do today to be a blessing for someone else? What can I do today to help teach a better lesson or to help someone avoid a minefield that I had to go through? And so that is what people hopefully will remember about you. Yes, I want to do a lot of amazing things in life, but hopefully and it's hard when you get in this seat and you have a seat in front of your title, you have to make hard decisions, and sometimes everybody doesn't like them. And so my hope is that as many as I can have felt as if I've done so fairly and hopefully with as much kindness as possible. Again, sometimes it gets hard in leadership roles and everybody doesn't always agree, but it's always my intent to do that. And I'm all about intent and heart. And so wherever you can bless somebody else, then you should. And that how you do something and how you treat someone is 10 times more important than what you do and what you leave.
Amen, sister. Thank you for that. Well, I always wrap up with this question. What does inspired living mean to you?
Oh my goodness. Other than, first of all, you and how you live and what you do and how you continue to inspire everyone you come in. I mean, literally, we've probably seen each other in person 3 times in like 7 years. And I am full of warmth and love and inspiration every time we interact. So first of all, you epitomize it. That being said, inspired living to me is just that. How do you continue to inspire with every single decision you make, every word you say, every action you take with someone else in mind? So as I'm sitting talking to you, it was a tough day today. There's a lot of stuff that happened today that was heavy. And I said, okay, but this potential conversation and the audience that Keri talks to could get something out of it. And maybe the one heavy thing that I'm lifting today, I can lighten someone's load tomorrow. And so how do you look beyond yourself? Because it's bigger than each of us. And that's how we can contribute to this global human family. So to me, inspired living is every choice, every decision, thinking about how you can inspire someone else.
Well, Christine, I'm telling you, you inspire me so much. And I'm so grateful for our friendship. And I love watching and seeing the woman you are in the world. So thank you for epitomizing to me what a leader is and for doing it with such grace.
Thank you, Keri. Good to see you, my friends.
Yes, so good to see you too. And we'll put the links in the show notes for those people who want to connect with you on social and online. And Christine, I just thank you so much for your time. And thank you for being such a gracious leader.
Thank you, Keri.
All right. Bye-bye. You've just heard another uplifting episode of Inspired Living with Keri Murphy, the podcast. I hope you loved it. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. And if you'd like to know more about Inspired Living or to get your hands on many of our awesome free resources, such as the Be Studio Ready Guide, simply visit us at inspiredliving.tv/podcast. Remember, your vision is your destiny, and we're here to help you bring it to life. Join me again next week for another extraordinary episode.